Greetings all! Today we will be examining the relatively rare flying dragon-type Pokemon Noibat and its exceptionally rare evolution Noivern, the two collectively known as the Sound Wave Pokémon. Though they might not come off as anything to really worry about at a young age, the members of the Noibat family are interesting mammals that can certainly bring the power of sound and wind with them wherever they go.
Noibat have lavender-colored fur on their lower two-toed feet and head, as well as darker purplish-black fur in their torso, their upper limbs existing as pink membranous wings with two dark claws on the ends of each. Their head has a pair of large ovoid ears with barbed ends and a circular pattern of lavender, purple, and black color on the interior, their face adorned with a small fanged mouth, a purple nose, and bright yellow eyes. Their evolved form, Noivern, have a similar body form, but their claws have turned a deep crimson color, with 2 toes and 3 fingers on each appropriate limb, as well as a deep purple belly, lower mouth and wing edges, while the rest of their form, tail and wing bars included, are black in color. The insides of the ears have turned green, as well as small membranes that exist at their mid-torso, with a red crest on their head and a white blanket of fur around their neck and upper back.
Noibat and their evolved form Noivern are different from most bats in that they are considered to not only be primary flying types, but due to their genetics, partial dragon types. It is still the subject of great debate as to why the adoption of dragon-type abilities and powers ever occurred in the first place, but much as with the members of the Trapinch family, the most likely culprit is random genetic mutation.
Even so, it is odd that they have managed to retain the type's strengths and weaknesses even at birth, which is a bit cumbersome for Noibat because they cannot actually learn any dragon-type moves at all until after they evolve. These creatures are somewhat limited to moves that are used by other Pokemon, namely the Zubat family, and thus have little in the way of offenses or even defenses to protect themselves at a young age. Thankfully though, as with their bat relatives, the members of the Noibat family have learned how to specialize in one particular feature in order to maintain their otherwise low numbers in the wild. While the members of the Zubat family have come to rely on toxins for defense, and the members of the Woobat family have developed psychic powers, the members of the Noibat family have learned to specialize in using sound. This is a normal adaptation that they already have with them as a part of their natural biology, as these creatures primarily rely on echolocation to sense their surroundings. This is not to say that they cannot see, however, as they do have good eyesight. It just makes it easier for them to fly through areas, as their brains can react more quickly to the sound-based senses than they can to their visual senses. Moreover, this adaptation serves a practical purpose as these creatures go to feed on fruit, as they can use these ultrasonic waves to detect when fruits are ripe for eating. In battle, these creatures turn this power into a natural weapon, blasting opponents and predators alike with massive concussive sound waves of absolutely any and all wavelengths, capable of making even the sturdiest of beasts dizzy, giving these creatures the chance to either flee with no issue or attack while the opposition is left unguarded.
This also works in conjunction with their possible abilities, as they are able to use their noteworthy agility to search for held items on an opponent, or even bypass the shielding of other Pokemon, granting them access to Frisk and Infiltrator as base abilities, while those that can react quickly to the moves of nearby partners to avoid damage can also have Telepathy as a hidden ability.
As far as the stats go, in the case of Noivern, these beasts do not have the raw power that most other dragon types do, and tend to underperform in nearly all areas as dragon types. But at the very least, they are not completely without merit there, as the base HP, defense, and special attack stats are all above average for a fully evolved flying type Pokemon, and the base speed stat is above average for a fully evolved flying and dragon type Pokemon. In turn, while they might not have a ton to offer as dragon types on their own, they still have decent power to them and can prove to be a noteworthy threat if they can't be readily tracked and targeted while flying circles around opponents.
Noibat, in terms of base stats, are actually among the weakest of all dragon-type Pokemon, and are only considered a step above Pokemon like Gumi in that they can eventually gain access to some strong attacks like Super Fang and even Hurricane, though they are held back by the fact that they tend to be nocturnal only outside of caverns.
Because of their low overall stats, Noibat are unable to survive in most parts of the world, limiting them to deep caverns or places where their flying type attributes are effective against some of the other native Pokemon. In battle, these little beasts do not have a lot going for them in terms of attacks alone, but if they are forced to, they can release sonic blasts from their ears and mouth that can register as high as 200,000 Hz, stunning if not killing most opponents that are in the direct line of fire, and deafening all that surround them, potentially for good. Even the strongest of opponents are more often than not left speechless and unable to respond to the attack, allowing these weak beasts to fly away and hide someplace until the coast is clear. Despite the fact that they learn moves like Absorb early on, as with Pokemon like Zubat, these beasts are not true predators, preferring to feed on fresh fruit on the outside of the cave environments they live within. Trainers looking for one of these creatures will probably have to take a long walk just to see them, but after that, they are relatively easy to capture and train, provided they don't blow you away with a whirlwind technique before they can even be captured. In comparison to the pre-evolved form, Noivern are violent, hot-blooded monsters that will attack anything that gets in their way ferociously and are capable of using their natural powers in battle far more efficiently than Noibat could ever hope to. For one thing, while these beasts still enjoy the taste of fruit and can be more readily tamed if you provide them a ripe fruit that is a favorite of theirs, they are more or less predators, attacking their prey in the darkness of night where they cannot be easily seen. Aggressively and cruelly hunting in the dark, especially when the moon is not visible, works perfectly fine for these beasts, as they can use echolocation to determine their exact position before swooping down silently behind their target and tormenting them with their stone-crushing ultrasonic cries and finishing them off with their sharp fangs by biting in deep to sever their jugular vein. Despite their large body size though, these beasts prefer to attack smaller game, as their fangs are not large enough to puncture the thicker hides of fully evolved Pokemon. Evolution from Noibat effectively also increases the destructive power these creatures possess in terms of sound, as they can release concussive sound waves from their ears so strong that they can rattle a large boulder into pebble-sized fragments in a single blow. This in turn has enabled Noivern to learn the devastating Boomburst attack naturally, a move so powerful and difficult to use that only they and a handful of other Pokemon are known to be able to utilize it in battle. Additionally, the draconic genes of these beasts seem to fully activate after evolution, enabling them to learn the powerful Dragon Pulse attack immediately after evolving. Lastly, it is noted that these beasts, although connected to the dark, seem to enjoy the glow of the moon's light so much that they can actually learn the moonlight technique. Why this is the case, though, is still under investigation. Overall, Noivern might not have the defenses or raw offensive power of other dragon types, but they are still more than fast enough to fly circles around most opponents before finishing them off in a fairly violent and destructive manner.
It's hard to say whether or not these bats, and yes they are bats despite their draconic powers, are exactly worth it all in the end to get to their final evolution, as they don't typically play the same offensive or even defensive game that many other dragon types take part in. However, they do have an advantage in their exceptional speed and agility, so even if the process is long and hard, they can eventually be made into valuable fighters if that's what you're looking for. Personally, I don't mind them when they're little, but once they evolve, I am out of there as soon as I possibly can be. I just kinda have an issue with flying types in a lot of cases for, well, obvious reasons, and the aggressive nature of Noivern isn't something I really want to deal with. Still, don't let my opinion stop you. If you want to tackle the grind and try to make the most of these creatures, go right ahead. Just make sure to wear ear protection, or you may very well regret it in time.
Though a bit on the weak side at first, and limited in the way they can use their dragon-type powers, the members of the Noibat family are still fascinating beasts that can easily make use of their speed to blast around others and befuddle them with sonic disruptions. You might be in for a long haul with them if you really want to get them into adulthood, but there are worse ways to spend one's time, and the final result can be quite useful if you know how to make the most of them.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure you've got something to keep your ears protected. They might not appear to be too much of a threat compared to some, but if they let out a Boomburst, it's more than likely to make it hard to hear anything for some time if you're too close. If you ever regain your hearing at all.
Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Utitus, and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.